Yeah.
I'm recording. Are you recording yet?
Yeah, I can edit too, though. So I'm a little getting better at it, put it that way. So,
It's not easy.
okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And today, I'm not even sure what show number this is or what show it will be. So, I've got David Mahoney here and some beautiful man that I've met in Spain. And I've known about you for like 5 years already through Charlie Ward, for sure.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be talking about ancestral healing and also the past, present, and the future. So it's really my expertise, if you want to call it, especially the journey through the body. And I mean, that's where the real healing is. And people are always waiting for these med beds, but you are the med bed. You are the lighthouse, and we hold the light of that beautiful inner child and what that child came to this beautiful Mother Earth to achieve in this lifetime. So, Moni, tell us about yourself. And I know you've definitely been on an ancestral journey. I've been watching all your videos and stuff. So that's why I was really excited to have you on, is to talk about healing the past and walking into the future.
Yeah, that was a really strange one. Well, for the sake of your audience, let's do a little bit of background. Hi, everybody, by the way. And I like your intro. This is this beautiful man I met in Spain. You make it sound like we're having some romantic liaison.
I think we all are when we are with people and energy, and it is such a beautiful, life is a romance, right?
It really is. If you stay in that energy of love, then it certainly makes it much more palatable, even the dark moments. But the day I met you guys, where do I even start? So you all turned up in Spain. I knew Scott, and I went over then, and I'd met Michelle before. So the minute I sat down at the table, I felt like I was back in my soul family, and I was actually really taken aback by that. And with Joe and Scott, I've done a couple of interviews, and then when I sat down, I was, whoa, what is that? And I immediately felt like this was like I'm back around at my mom's house or my grandmother's house. Ancestral energy that was coming off all of us. We all knew each other from before. But that was in July. Were you here in July? When was it? Or September?
No, October.
October, of course. October. Wow, the months fly by. But my background is I was from the television and film industry. Um, and during COVID, I got locked down as everybody else did, and I got bored and I started just playing around with my iPhone and using the skills and tricks I'd learned from the film business just for pure entertainment, just to keep the fans happy and a bit of boredom. But then I started meeting these spiritual people. The first person really that sort of got me in this journey was a guy called Huna Mayuta Taki, Huna Flash, who's dead now, poor Huna. He's probably better off, he'd be having a lot more adventures where he is than he was here.
Yeah.
He's probably happy. But yeah, I started on a little bit of a curiosity quest, but it wasn't like my spiritual powers were just not there. They've always been there. It's just you got to tune into them. So you just don't know, it's about understanding what the feelings and the messages and the intuition, what it is. So having somebody to guide you through it is really interesting. Like, okay, I tell you what that is, and oh, have you been seeing a lot of numbers recently? I tell you what that is. So hanging around people that are spiritually awakened and have this information, this knowledge, is great, Carol, because you learn so much, which is this is what I wanted to do. And then it just got stronger and stronger. And then during the whole COVID thing, Charlie Ward, who's very outspoken, he started his channel just by accident, having a walk and talking about this as a load of BS. I don't believe any of it. And I was the same. And we just got bigger and bigger and bigger in the popularity online just because we were just truth talking, just talking about what we feel. I took it to the next level by demonstrating the power that you have by going through checkpoints at airports with no passport, vaccines, no information, refusing, no, 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 standing in my refusal of it. They're accepting their rules and regulations. And I filmed all of it, and I became really well known for standing up against the authoritarian dictatorship that sprung out of nowhere in those dark days. But, Carol, I found recently that just wasn't sustaining me. It wasn't, I do a show twice a week and it's a struggle. It's the same old political. Is Trump going to get in now?
Yeah.
Trump's in. What's happening next? It was this. it's being in this hamster wheel of this unpredictability. And when you're in that world of political corruption and trying to figure it out, you just become, it makes you sort of twitchy and anxious all the time, I found. So I've been leaning more towards the spiritual stuff for a long time. And I was just kind of waiting for the right moment for the feeling to sort of push me into the spotlight a bit more, push me into the right situation. And I seem to have found that niche right now. So I had an ancestral calling the other day, 2 weeks ago, which is what we'll talk about next, I think. So last October, not this one, October before, I found myself in Japan. I got invited to Japan by a contingent of the Czech Republic official representatives that are involved in some really high tech electric engines and that flying car stuff. He's a good friend of mine. So he says, "Oh, we're going to Japan, come." So I met him in Japan. But when I changed flights in Beijing, the guy that, you go through, I had to change, had 5 hours to wait. And the guy says to me, "Okay, where's your final destination?" I said, "Hong Kong." And he looked at the ticket and he said, "It says Tokyo here." I said, "What did I say?" He said, "Hong Kong." I said, "Oh no, Tokyo." He said, "You go over there for secondary inspection." So I had another one. So Hong Kong has been coming up in my subconscious slip-ups.
Hmm.
I've got two very good friends of mine that live in Singapore, and I was talking about one of them, and I said, the guy that lives in Hong Kong. And they think, who? I was like, the Danish guy, Marius. No, he lives in Singapore. I was like, what did I say? Hong Kong. I was like, oh. So I get this download, get to Hong Kong, go to Hong Kong, you know.
Hmm.
And again, for those people that don't know, it comes out of my mouth when I get really strong. I was driving along the other day and I heard the word Amy. I heard myself say Amy. I don't know any Amy's. There's no Amy's on my phone. I have no idea who Amy is, but I said the name Amy. I still haven't figured out who it is, so maybe Amy will show up soon enough. I don't know. But Hong Kong came out. I was like, but it comes out my mouth loud. I'm usually driving. So the word Hong Kong, I was like, okay, what is that about? So after some badgering and feeling and listening to my intuition, I sent an email to a friend of mine who gets amazing deals on business class seats. He said, "Yeah, I've got Barcelona to Hong Kong. A really great deal." I said, "All right, I'm going, I guess." But I didn't know why. Didn't understand why, Carole. I had no clue. And I took a video, made a video of myself in Barcelona airport. And I'm getting on the flight saying, okay, I'm really quite apprehensive here about what I'm supposed to do. So I'm flying 12, 13 hours across the other side of the world to get into a city where I don't know anybody. Not that that bothers me. I mean, that's just what am I going to do there? You know, I don't go to places and start, I wouldn't fly to Sydney just to look at the Opera House. There'd have to be a solid reason for me going there. And it would normally have to be something spiritual or
Yeah.
else a family emergency. Because I've traveled so much, I just couldn't be bothered. To be quite honest, I'm too lazy. I'm comfortable where I am. So we go to Beijing, 5 hours there, and then another flight into Hong Kong. And eventually, 2 hours out of Hong Kong, I speak out loud. I'm listening to my music on my headphones on my phone, and I say, check the date, check the date. So I say it out loud, and I said, check the date, check the date. And I realize it's my father's birthday. He would have been 79 on that day, November the 19th. So I realized that I said, oh, this is something to do with my dad. And then I just kind of put the whole story together and I was like, ah. And once I got it, it was all about numbers as well. So I'm not a numbers guy. I'm dyslexic, but I'm very good at numbers in my head. I can work out percentages and tables and this. But, ask me to put it on paper, I wouldn't have a clue. It'd all go wrong.
I teach psychosomatic numerology.
Really?
Yeah. Like you're a 3, 2, 5.
325.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is
We'll
that
we can talk
we'll go
about
back
that
into that?
later. Yeah, we'll come back to that.
So I haven't talked about it publicly. I've said enough for people to get the idea. So I had a really bad betrayal. Someone very dear to me did something so bad to me that I was absolutely shocked. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's like the worst. So, and it's not just involving being, a betrayal because you can only betray someone if you're inside the circle. It's like going against everything that I knew about this person, everything that I'd been made to believe about this person, to just being shown it was absolutely, completely the reverse. I'm talking drugs, I'm talking lies, I'm talking deception, I'm talking betrayal, I'm talking every possible dark energy you could possibly think of. This person did, and it was against me, and has continued against me with dark magic and spiritual attacks, and it's continued up until recently. And I was absolutely floored by it. It took the entire wind out of my system, made me go into that. I don't believe how bad, how dark somebody could actually be. This is incredible. How could I not see it? They were so close in my energy for a long time. I'm talking
Is
years.
this after we left?
It had just started when I met you, so I'm careful about what I say publicly. I mentioned
Yeah.
some things to you, but it had just started, and because I didn't get any closure, it was bang, this is it, gone. Because they're
Mm.
an avoidant and they go into hiding and they're too cowardly to face you. So I didn't understand it. I was told a little bit of information. I was like, well, that actually doesn't make sense. Why would you do that just because of this? Hang on a second. And then I started getting downloads and visions and again coming out. So I've put the whole story together on intuition and spirit helping me. So I understand it now, but it was such a shock. And this is where the numbers come into it. I was shown 67. 67, David. Figure it out. 67, 67. That's 67, 67, 67. So basically, I've actually still got it, or did I throw it away? Yeah, I was talking about this on a show the other day. If you imagine there's two circles, and in the center part where I've drawn little squiggles, that's where the energy of this person, the energy of my energy have intertwined a bit. So there's a curse going on. What this person did was so bad, it has evoked an ancient curse that goes between Egypt, the UK, Ireland, and Spain. And I'm totally clean with it. It's not, I didn't do it. It's not my karma. My karma is to clear myself of this. But I told the person, said, "Oh, I said, have you any idea what you've done?" I said, "You have no idea what's coming for you. You've got to let me help you. We've got to." No, wouldn't let me help, wouldn't talk. That was it. Bang, gone, ghosted, no communication. So basically, the 67, it all starts with an intertwining curse from, I'm talking thousands of years, 2,000, 3,000 years minimum.
That's
This
called a Vesica Pisces, by the way.
Vesica Pisces, really. So
It's
this
the
goes
two
back.
inter. I've got a whole garden. It's the womb of,
Ah,
yeah.
that actually makes sense.
It's the rise of the divine feminine, which we're going through right now.
Yeah. I couldn't stop this curse if I tried because it wasn't on me. But basically, because this person did something so demonic and so dark, it's invoked against me, which I didn't know how important I am. I've just found this out now. And it's basically touch not my anointed. This is how bad this curse is. So my spirit guides and angels, guardian angels, and even the divine himself is going after this entire group of people and the head of this person that did all this. And it's going to be biblical. And I'm like, oh, I can't stop it. I don't. I feel a little bit bad for him because I tried to warn him, but of course, it's too arrogant. So basically, the 67, I figured it all out in England, Egypt, how it all ties down. It was a triangular pyramid shaped formation from different locations, all with the same kilometers that all went into it. And I was like, holy shit, there's no way you can make this up. So that sent me on my first part of the quest saying, okay, this is a curse, an ancestral curse that goes back. It's following me down through the generational line. So when I got to Hong Kong, 67 is there again. So I figured out my father's birthday. Then I knew exactly how old he was when he was in Hong Kong. And he was 22. So from his birthday plus 22 minus today's year was 67. And
Yeah.
that's bang. I got it. I was like, oh shit. Now, my father, my parents got divorced, I lived with him from when I was 11 to 16. And he showed me these pictures of when he was in the army in Singapore and Hong Kong. He met this beautiful local girl, and he used to say to me, "You could have been half Malaysian. You could have been a little half caste boy." And he said, "This is the beautiful girl that I love and fell in love with, but it didn't work out." And I knew there was something special about this woman because he'd kept the picture all of those years. And pictures in the 50s used to have jagged, zigzag
Yeah.
edges on the pictures, you know, so that's how old it was. So
And they would have dates on them.
yeah, yeah, but I knew he was 22 because I remember it very vividly. And so I backtracked to where this photograph was taken, and it all worked out to 67 years ago. He was 22, 67. Then I took away the age he was right now to my age or something. There was another one which came out to be 54, which was my age. I was like, oh my God. So I'm going to try to bring up something as well, Carole, just to show the audience some visuals as well as this is about. Um, am I talking too much? Is this
No,
okay?
no, no, no. No, I'll get my chance right. In my head. Oh, this.
Yeah,
Oh, look at his earlobes. Yes, he is intuitive, and I do reading. So yeah.
keep your questions because for the sake of the audience, you need to have visuals as well.
Hmm.
And I'm just going to go back because there's probably a couple of visuals I sent here um, last week to my friend. Yeah, here they are. Boom. Right, this is what I need. I'm going to get that up there. So I land in Singapore. I figured it out. It's my dad's birthday the day I land. I say, I know what I'm here to do. I'm here to because because my mother broke his heart. So my father married my mother 14 years later. They're both dead now, so I can talk about it openly. 14 years they stayed together. She ended up cheating on him in a small town. Everybody found out about it. It was all a scandal, everyone pointing. And she treated him like terribly. Like I never really understood why my mother even married him if she could treat a man like that. I mean, it was horrific what she did. She just did not give a damn about him. I don't care what, I'm not trying to keep it private. And there was no, okay, we're getting divorced. And it was all going on while they were still together, you know. So openly cheating on him in a small town with quite a few people, over the years, it was three or four people. It wasn't just one person. So she was terrible. My mother died of a broken heart herself and never forgave herself for it. And of course, twisted all the real memories and made it my father. And every time she spoke about him, she spoke about him with spite. And he was a kind, loving, nice man. So my dad, 14 years later, ends up with a broken heart, and he never got over it. I saw the pain that he went through. I saw it when it happened, and I stayed with him for 6, 7 years, and I had a really close relationship with my father. And he settled for a woman that was nowhere near where he was. He was an intelligent, and she was a drunk, a pain in the ass. None of us liked her. And he just said, you know what? I've got a broken heart. I haven't healed. She's willing to sort of put up with me. So it's just easier. And it's often the case. People just take it, that'll do, because, she's not going to make any problems for him. But
And more so in those days, right? I mean,
also in
that's
those days.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I started looking at my own relationships. Now, I've had really successful relationships with women. A lot of the people I've spent a long time with are still in touch. Happy New Year, happy birthday. I get those from people that I've been with 5 years, 6 years, 2 years. Not so many. I've been mostly alone. And I have a 28-year-old son, and I was 14 years with his mother. But what this person did to me was so horrific. It reminded me of what my mother did to my father. And I was like, hang on a second. He didn't see it coming. He was shocked about how bad it was, like the disrespect and going against everything that this person's led me to believe who they are. And then I put it together. I was like, okay, my father did it to this woman. So he must have done something to this woman in Singapore. Either he left her pregnant or he left her brokenhearted or left her at the altar, did something. And that woman had to go through her entire life with a broken heart and never really got over it. And that stuck with my father. And it's always the way karma is. What you do to
Hmm.
people, you get back. Yeah, you get back. So I didn't deserve what happened to me because I've never done that to anybody. And this is why my powers have been amplified. The keep spirits rewarding me. He's saying you needed to go through this so you can understand it and you can teach about it and talk about it. You're going to be a teacher. You're going to be, your voice will be heard by millions of people that I've been told now because of these videos I've been making. So I'm kind of trying to stay on track. So I get to Hong Kong. I know where this picture was taken. It's taken somewhere high above Hong Kong. So I figure that must be like a tourist location. So can I share the screen?
Yes, for sure. Does
Yeah,
that
just give me the permission. So the first place I go to is this cable car above Hong Kong. And I'm going to send you a request.
okay.
And I'm standing in line. You got to understand, it's about 8, 10, no, it's more, it must be 8 kilometers over up the hill, over another one, up the other side. And there's hundreds of cable cars. So the cable car as I'm shuffling forward in the line, um, there's Chinese people, there's tourists, so it's one more, one more. This family goes in there, this family goes in there. The cable car that I get into is immediately behind cable car 67. This is day one. So I'm looking at him like, oh, all right, Dad, I hear you. I hear you, Spirit.
Yeah.
You're sending me visuals now. And so the whole way up the mountain, I had to look at number 67. See, they're getting out and we're getting in, right? So I'm chuckling about that. But then
This is ridiculous. There it is.
on the way down, I went up there for about 2, 3 hours, walked around, got lost. And on the way down, there it is again. It's my place in the queue. I'm waiting to get in the cable car. And on the way back down, 67 is in front of me again. Look.
Again, that's the exact same one I came up in, and there's 67, so I'm one behind. But it's like in my face constantly, 67, 67. This is going down. When I was coming up, it was this one.
If I don't record it, people don't believe it.
Yeah, how I'm reading that also is it's giving you a bird's eye view because you're up on a cable, right? And your first dimensional self in your DNA is blue eagle. So it's the seer. So you're getting to see life differently. And this whole thing is like a birthing canal because you're planting new seeds and growing. It's like this dark side had to happen in order for you to release for where you're going in the future.
I completely agree. I felt it was a nice exercise because I have this, when I'm doing that spiritual work, I do this clearing action with my hands. I was doing it when we were filming.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I didn't get in the same cable car going down is because the one behind, I was by myself and I wanted to be by myself just to sort of absorb this crazy journey. So I got all these signs. Everything was coming at me. All the numbers stacked up. I could feel it. I was all charged up and activated the entire time. I found the spot where my dad was, found where the picture was, and then I did a ceremony at nighttime just by myself. In fact, I went up to the hotel roof bar on the 26th floor over Hong Kong Island, and I just sort of tuned in and I said, there is no rule book, there is no instruction manual how to do a ceremony to, ask the ancestors. So I just kind of winged it and I immediately got confirmation. I basically said, look, I've come here, I've presented myself as the direct bloodline from my father, and I'm here to atone for my father's bad deeds. And I'm beseeching the ancestors to forgive this karmic curse because I feel like the debt needs to be forgiven, because of we paid that debt. That's paid. I feel that it's paid, and I'm
Yeah.
here to plead with the ancestors, my ancestors and the ancestors of whoever this woman was. It all started here 67 years ago. I've come back to ask for forgiveness. And I immediately got a confirmation, like, oh, I started to cry, I could feel it bubbling
Mm.
up. Luckily, I was alone on this terrace.
Yeah.
So, but it came immediately. And I kind of just went after that. After I knew that I'd achieved, at least they'd said, yes, this is forgiven. I then spent the next 3 days going to the places where he was and just kind of dropping codes off or picking them up and just clearing a
Mm.
bit and just tuning into the energy so I could forgive myself as well for because you question yourself in these situations. Am I right? Did I do anything wrong? It's about
Mm.
understanding and forgiving it and being bombarded with the love energy. Like I just
Yeah.
started laughing. You go so deep and so remorseful and so dark, and you get so like I want to say the word depressed, but I don't really feel I don't suffer from depression. But when you take that depth of darkness that you think my life is just in the toilet, what am I going to do? Turn it around, and then all of a sudden you get this huge surge of love coming through you, which I think spirit sends. It's like, wow. I start laughing. So I'm laughing and crying at the same time. I just start laughing and
Mhm.
it's all released.
Yeah.
So very powerful experience, something I had not seen coming from anywhere. I would never have even known
Yeah.
any of this shit was going to happen. And because of this, I've cleared my karmic connection to this person, so they're free now to do what they want to do. And I would not like to be in their shoes, honestly. I dare not look at any single thing from them because I don't want to know. So
Yeah.
I'm not looking at any of the socials, any of the videos, or anything like this. Nothing. Zero, zero, zero. No contact. I don't want to know because I think it's not my business. It's not my curse. It's not my problem. Not my monkey. Not my circus.
Yeah.
So
I
now,
was going to say, you might want to change. I changed the word forgiveness because it's such a Catholic word, get down on your knees.
all right,
I call it forgifting. So
forgive.
when you let it go and you send it back to their soul, from soul to
Yeah.
soul, you cut that cord and you're no longer attached. And it's a gift if you have to let it go with authenticity and love from the depth of your being, not just, it doesn't mean you have to do even a ceremony because it's happening in you. And that connection now can be severed and now you can move forward. Yeah. So it's a gift. And we gift, you got to find the gift in everything. I say find the diamonds in the dog shit because it's fertilizer. It, it
Yeah.
it pushed you to grow in a different way. And
Oh, absolutely.
when you find that diamond, you can polish it now. And
Well,
it's in your treasure chest.
it sent me in a totally different direction because after all of that, now I've been called. What I've been doing is talking about it. So how, because people have said, how have you come out of this dark night of the soul, this tower moment,
Mhm.
this pain and darkness? How have you done it? I said, well, I did it with love and I did it with forgifting, as you say.
Yeah.
Look, you're because I'm extremely strong. I mean, honestly, I've known I had strength, but it's impossible to get inside my head. That's a weakness that I let that person in so much because it was over a long period of time. So, because I wouldn't normally do that, I'm very careful who my energy is intertwined with. Very
Yeah.
careful. I don't sleep around. I don't have partners.
No.
No, don't do that. I don't get involved with people I don't have an immediate liking for. I have no shady business. I've got no. I'm not into. You can look at my phone or computer. I don't not into pornography or gambling or anything dark in the slightest. I have a glass of wine and whiskey. I like a drink, occasional cigarette. If I'm having a few drinks, I'll have a smoke. Um, but I kind of feel I'm incorruptible because I'm financially stable too. So you couldn't bribe me. Come
Yeah.
on, Mahoney, we're going to go to do a devil ceremony. I'll give you 50
Mhm.
grand if you participate. I'd say,
Yeah.
fucking no way, pal. I don't care if it's
Yeah.
500 grand. I don't need it. There's, what I am receiving now for this pain is they're saying, talk about it, Mahoney.
Mm.
You have a great voice. You have a gift at making these videos, these 5, 6, 8, 10 minute videos. You have a gift. Use this gift that we've given you and use this experience to teach about it and talk about it and show people how it can be done and educate people, bring them back. Because I did a video a couple of days ago about, people are all complaining about how bad their lives are. And I'm saying, well, I just can't seem to get ahead. I'm like this. I said, what's the one consistent thing in your life? And they look at me and say, I don't know. What? So you are the
Yeah.
one consistent thing in this story. Change you and change the story. Stop going out at weekends and hanging around in clubs and, telling women that you're very wealthy and you can take them out and change their life and just trying to get a one night stand or a weekend out of them. Stop using
Yeah.
recreational narcotics. Go for a walk in nature. Go do something. Go volunteer at a disabled, a mentally handicapped place and drive a bus for them. Do something different with your life. And this is the point. People don't change who they are in the story. So the story's never going to change. So I keep,
Well, because they're always living in their outer world. They don't want to come home and live in the inner world because as soon as you close your eyes, it's darkness. And they don't want to and plant new seeds within themselves with understanding who they are. If you ask who they are, they don't know who they are because they
well,
haven't
exactly.
studied who they are. They don't. Your body tells you everything. It tells you the bone structure, the your bone structure is the blueprint of your soul. It's the chassis of your vehicle or the foundation, the beams of your house. And either you're a Mack truck or a Ferrari. What are you? And I don't say weaknesses. I say we have strengths, and we have got sensitivity. And a lot of people will hide their sensitivity because they think it's a weakness. No, it's the divine feminine, which is the sensitive part of all of us. And
Yeah.
we have the strengths in all of us. So we have to look at ourselves first and foremost. And the more work we do on ourselves, healing goes 7 generations back and 8 generations forward in the energy of the DNA.
7 backwards and 8 forwards. 7,
Yeah.
8. 7, 8. Okay, interesting numbers.
Well, it could be 7 and 7, but if you're in the present, so if that's going back and looking at your studying even who you are, your ancestry, looking at what's happened with your father, that is already healing it for all of your children and your grandchildren, great grandchildren, because you've changed. You're not going to change the past, but you can change the energy of the DNA with you in the present moment.
I
And
completely.
a lot of this has to do with even the mother. You're clearing it for her also because there's 72,000 nerve endings in the belly button that the umbilical cord was connected to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so 72 back, right? Cords back 72,000. But also, if you stay in the present moment, you can change the trajectory of the future by understanding and changing things within yourself. So think of it 72,000 forward. So 72 back, 72 forward. What is that? That's your 144,000,
144, yeah.
which we all talk about. The 144,000 means of you coming into the present moment, not thinking of the past and not thinking of the future. It hasn't happened yet. So the only thing you can do is change it in the present moment.
Yeah, but trying to teach this to people, getting people to
Learning, yeah.
absorb it. I don't like to use the word understand, so intentionally absorb it and put it into practice. It's extremely difficult because we live in a life which is constantly being distracted. We've got phones going and television and family and friends and social media and life pressures, and to switch off all that exterior noise to be able to focus on this, to focus on who you are and what you have in here and what a special piece of kit this is. But where's the instruction manual? We don't have it. We just kind of wing.
Yes, it's right here.
You got it. But
It's
we
what
should.
I teach. It's all about the body and posture correction, how we use the body, where it's all stored, why are you in the shape you're in, and how to move energy up through the body and change your physical body. You can. And it shows in the face, if is the face symmetrical or is it out of balance? It's everything is right here. And when you study yourself, I mean, people don't want to look at themselves, they're ashamed of their body, or why would you be, right? And what has that beautiful little girl or little boy been through in their life experiences? Because we all come in with a bone structure, but then our life experiences fill out that bone structure. And the trauma can be held in the body, and the body will either protect it with fatty tissue, which we call desensitized tissue, which is a nice name for fat, or the consciousness leaves the body. So there's nobody home. When you hug someone, there's nobody home. You're hugging a skeleton if there's very little consciousness in the flesh. Lots of flesh, lots of issues that are buried deep in the body, but very little flesh on the body. The consciousness has left. Like I say, there's nobody home. And they got their heads in some cloud, la la land, or they're barely keeping their head above water, which means the head above their emotions. So, and a lot of men will put on maybe not fatty tissue, but they'll build this huge muscular body. But I can see what that guy is. Maybe he's not an asshole. There's a hurt little boy in there that only wants to be seen and loved and accepted for who he is. Yet life experiences have, we build that protection from the outer world. And we have to get back to that innocence or that inner sense.
In a sense,
And yeah.
yeah.
And there's, I mean, so many gifts you can tell right on the body, like I was talking about, your inner cup is so much stronger than the outer cup. It tells me is that you have a special way of listening.
You mean with
Yet,
my ears? I've got very small ears for a guy my size. They're very small.
yeah, they
Tiny.
are small, but what happens there is something you didn't want to hear as a child. There is something, maybe there's, I was reading a face because I've read thousands of faces. At expos, I got 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes is something we can do in 10 minutes. And of course, we can read the whole body, the hands, the face, whatever. But that's something we can do. And I had this young little girl. She sat down in front of me. Maybe she was 12 or 13. And I was reading her face, and she said she was very hard of hearing, so I had to talk loud. So then I got to her ears, and I says, "Your ears, they look like maybe a 7 or 8 year old ears, because ears keep growing as we,
Yeah.
grow, as we mature." And so, especially into teenage years. And then I says, "What happened at 7 or 8 years old?" And she burst into tears. And she said, "My parents were getting a divorce, and I would hide under my bed so I didn't have to hear them." So what happens, the psychosomatic response is they quit growing because she didn't want to hear anymore.
Yeah.
So
Makes
and
sense. Does
so her ears popped at that moment, and she could hear better because we connected the subconscious mind with the conscious mind. Now she understood why she didn't want to hear her parents, right? And how the body responded to that. So even your ears are, they're quite flat to the head. So
Yeah.
it tells me, children are to be seen and not heard, or you'll get your ears pinned back, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, it was a bit like that. My mother was like that. We used to get sent to bed at like
yeah,
6:30, 7 p.m. We'd be in bed as kids. But um, we'll go back into that. I'm going to finish my little section,
yeah, yeah.
which it's done really. But so now I've been told this because I've been looking for a new broadcast angle, Carol. I've been totally unbesotted by this geopolitical. So this thing they're saying, use the pain, use the experience, what you experience, because nobody was able to get up from where you came from, how bad that was, how dark it was for you to be able to recover so quickly. And considering there was a lot of other shit going on in the background, like bad energy being sent my way, I was spiritually attacked every day. And I was, it doesn't work with me. I feel it coming like, all right, come on then. I am an aggressive man. If you come at me, I like a good tear up. I like a confrontational person. I am. I do not walk away from confrontation. If I see something going on in public, I'll say, hey, wait your turn, man. Don't push in the queue. She was before you. I'll shout over 5 or 6 people's heads because I don't like people being bullied. I don't like seeing injustices, and my voice just, my body size. I'm an intimidating person with a loud voice and a big body and smart and 5 languages I speak. You can't argue with me, really. So, for those of that are listening in the audience, my spiritual journey in the last 6 months has been horrendous, but
Mm.
beautiful. The pain that I've felt and the darkness I've experienced, but the joy and beauty that I've been rewarded with was absolutely worth it because I'm in a completely different place now in my spiritual energy, and I see a very clear vision of where I have to go now and what I have to do. I've been rewarded for my pain and the treachery that went on behind closed doors about me. And I know that spirit has got my back and he's guiding me and very protected energy around me now. So if you're listening, whoever's listening to this, I would not advise coming at you because my spiritual guides are gangster. They do not,
Yeah.
negotiate with you. They will take you out. That's it. You're gone. You try it once, you won't ever try it again. So, and it's not my decision to do that. That's just what they've told me. Your guides are gangsters, David. They don't take names. They just, take legs and fingers. Um, but it's been an absolutely amazing experience. It continues daily. I was doing more today, downloading more today, getting messages today. Um, and
So
I'm
what's your future? What's the show that
use
you're
my voice to educate people. But there's something about they said there's something about the stuff that you make, David, that goes into people's souls. And
mm,
if you go onto this, I only did this YouTube channel not even a month ago, and the comments from what people are sharing about how I've touched them with me standing on a terrace in a rainy Sunday in Spain and just doing a 3 minute video or a 5 minute video. And they said, one woman said, for 51 years, I carried pain from a broken relationship, David. And after listening to that video today, you broke that pain for me. I understood it. Thank you so much. The messages of encouragement and love and breakthrough stories that people send me. It's absolutely astounding how a
mm,
simple voice from a total stranger in most cases can help so many people. And I've built the platform previously and the reputation, and the skill set to do these. So this is where I'm going now. I'm going to continue broadcasting messages that Spirit asked me to talk about. I'll do one every 3 days, as there's the number I've been given, 3-4 days. And we'll see where it goes. But I can see it gaining momentum as more and more people look forward and understand these. And it's like you only need to save one really good, honest person, don't you? We just need to wake one absolute king or queen up from all of this randomness that we travel and share the broadcasts and the videos. You just need to reach that one person that can make such a difference. The pond with a stone that's thrown into it and the ripples. So that's my journey. And you know what? A lot of people that know me say, Mahoney, you all right, mate? You seem a bit, But you know what? I laugh at them and say, yeah, I'm absolutely amazing. Because for a guy coming from my background to all of a sudden start talking about spirit and the great and divine intervention and the energy sources and flowing through you and voices coming out of your head and traveling to Hong Kong for no reason, people are thinking, well, they know me. I'm very practical. I never lose it. I don't ever lose control of any situation I can help. But here I am standing in this new energy and this new version, this upgraded version of who is Mahoney, and people are loving it.
Well, I see it as, you have a very penetrating voice and you can get to the core. So if you just talk like this, you can't get to the core of people, but you project that and your tone of voice and the authenticity to it, because authenticity is higher than the frequency of love. So you can't love another person. It's impossible because love is a feeling. And, I love a rose. Does a rose love me? No, it's the crown and glory of creation. Same as a baby. Baby doesn't love you. It's wants you to feed it. But you can love your reaction. We always look at love of my reaction to something. And, have you always loved your reaction, even to your 28-year-old son? You haven't always loved your reaction. Or to a partner, whatever. But it's your reaction, it's feelings inside of you, because you're not in someone else's body. You can't feel another person. You can feel your reaction to someone's story, but people say, oh, I can feel that. No, you can't. You can feel your reaction because it's their reaction. So, there's so much to this. I'm almost the opposite of you.
Are you?
Well, I've been doing spirituality for 25 years. And when COVID hit, what the fuck's going on in the third dimension, right?
Yeah.
And better come back down to earth and see what I've never looked at politics in my life. Now I can't get enough of it.
Really? Yeah. Well, you're welcome.
But I don't do shows on them, but I want to know exactly what's going on all the time. And I spent a lot of time listening to people like, Charlie and you. That was at the beginning. I don't anymore so much. I think we graduate through people, who's next, and the channel gets smaller and smaller.
There's not many of us still around. A lot of people gave up and went home.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jason Q has it, so Jason's got everything.
But speaking of authenticity, that was the other thing that pissed me off about all of that, because I've met a lot of these people behind the scenes in person and talked to them off camera. And there's only a handful that are authentic. And, I was on the circuit. I'd do an interview with this person, this person, this person. And then I'd just say, I'm sick of this. They're full of shit. They don't practice what they preach. They're going out there like these fake evangelistic preachers. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Send me your money. And then he buys a private jet and goes and gets a big bag of Coke in Vegas with a load of hookers. It's the two-faced bullshit behind it that I don't like it. They're not practicing what they preach, and
they will be found out too, though.
Oh, I know.
You give them enough rope to hang themselves, and we see that everywhere. And we still need to be human. Hey, I like a glass of wine. I've started, and even to clear the lungs, smoke mullein.
Yeah,
it's an herb, and it's better than taking it in a tincture.
I get that, but you're not the type of person that would stand there and say, "Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal."
No.
You know what I mean? If you look at the 7 deadly sins, the sloth and the gluttony and the lust and the wrath, there's things the way that you live your life by that you can stand in. And one thing about me is this is me. You see me on these interviews, you meet me on the street. This is me. It's 100% authentic. So this is what I'm saying: standing in your truth and being authentic. And these people that go on there and say, it's very nice, man. Tinkerbell, I'm going to talk to you in light language now.
Oh
You know,
no.
very beautiful light language talking to you. And then as soon as they're off camera, they're screaming at the boyfriend, calling him a son of a bitch. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, or somebody. So I got tired of that. And that's the one thing, like, I like being out on my own with no real ties to sort of do anything. I like being independent, and I really enjoy exploring this. And what we did in that video was brilliant. Spending 2 3 days together, traveling around, and it was an ego trip for me, to be quite honest, because I love spending time with it. I don't want you guys to go, and for the sake of the audience, we better talk about what we did. So when I
Yeah.
when I met five, there was five in your group. There's Joe Scott, Lisa, Michelle, and yourself, right? So there's five of you. And I met them at the table for dinner, and I immediately fell in love with all of you and felt the energy. And I said, well, listen, they mentioned that they wanted to go to Seville. I said, well, on Friday, if you come early, I'll get my camera crew and I'll show you to some energy hotspots. And they were like, oh, yeah, that's an amazing idea. I didn't think you'd do it, actually. I thought you'd sort of said it that night and then you'd say, oh, no, we want to go here. But sure enough, you all
No.
showed up. You all showed up, and then off we go. We drive up the mountain. We go to Ronda, then we go to the ancient city of Asinipo. Then after that, we went to a castle. Then we went into Seville. The next day, we did Christopher Columbus's tomb and walked around. So we had an amazing couple of days together, and I shared these energetic hotspots really for just to get confirmation that I was right, because I've known him a few years. I wasn't as strong and knowledgeable as I am now. But it was great fun seeing you all. I say, go over there and stand by that wall. You remember that big
Yeah,
wall?
yeah,
Everybody went, ugh.
yeah.
I said, yeah, isn't that weird? So we've
Well,
got,
you see it through other people's eyes too. I mean, it's things become normal, right? Even here, people come and something that's kind of like you get used to seeing all the time, and they're just like, whoa, a
wow.
huge waterfall.
Yeah,
And but
it's true. It's true. You become accustomed to it. You become
yeah,
desensitized to a lot of things if you see there. Like winter time from my terrace at home, the sun comes straight out of the Mediterranean like that, whoop, straight up in the air in the winter, straight into. I don't close the window, the curtains. I always wake up with the sun coming up. It's the most spectacular sunrise I've probably ever seen. So when I was in Cambodia, the guide said, "You've got to come see Angkor Wat in morning. Come see Angkor Wat. Sunrise, very, very, very special morning." So we go in there, it's pitch black, and then we waiting, trudging around in the darkness and waiting for the sun to come up. And then it came up over Angkor Wat, and I was looking around. I said, "Is that it?" I said, "The sunrise in my terrace is more spectacular than that. You got me up at 3 in the morning, but this sounds a bit arrogant." But I was like, "I'm used to it." You become desensitized because it's such beautiful things that you see all
yeah.
the time. So anyway, guys, we filmed 3 episodes more or less, and we've released the first one. Carole's gonna put some links on there, I suppose, for you, and you can see
Mhm.
our first 24-minute episode of what we were doing in day one in Andalusia, more or less. Yeah,
It's magical, right? I mean, it was
isn't it?
just, yeah. And I think, the spontaneity of it, that even made it more exciting than if it was all planned out. And we were all just in awe. Of course, we're going to go, right? 2 days with Mahoney, you know, and yeah, I mean, and we don't, you got to say yes and say yes to a lot of things because I said no to Morocco, and then I was sorry after all the things that they did in Morocco, Joe and Scott. And I says, I should have said yes. I really didn't have anything to, well, of course, I've got things to come home to, but I thought I
Well,
should get back to work.
your plane ticket is normally the thing that does that, isn't it? You
Yeah.
get a date if you get a flexible one. So, but Morocco's not going anywhere. I've got a feeling you guys will be back in Spain, and I'll come
Oh,
to
yeah.
Costa Rica. I've actually got a friend of mine pretty close to that. I've got to go to Panama as well to see a good friend of mine. So, when I find some time in 26, I'll swing in and say hi. But Carol,
Come and do it. Come and do a training. 2 weeks.
oh,
You'll learn everything about yourself.
it'd be difficult for me to commit to 2 weeks. But Carol, can we
Yeah.
talk about your like because this is going out on my channel too. So can
Yeah.
we talk a little bit about yourself and what's going on and where you are at and what you're doing, what your specialized chosen field is?
Well, before I went into, well, I owned a restaurant and blues bar for 14 years. I had the best blues musicians from all across Canada. And I always said, well, if you're going to party, you might as well own the bar, right?
So this
So,
was in Canada, the bar, yeah?
yeah, it was in Lethbridge, Alberta,
Okay.
Canada. And it was a beautiful place, all hardwood floors, 16-foot mahogany bar, 3 wood-burning fireplaces, no televisions, no games besides
Good.
backgammon and chess, and great music. Um, but never once would I take my stage. I was terrified of public speaking. So I sold it in 1999. I thought, oh, read the Celestine prophecy. I better go on my spiritual journey. So, yeah, then I couldn't get enough, doing yoga and learning, did Reiki, learn a whole bunch about energy centers. And then I was supposed to promote this gentleman coming from Australia, and he was going to do messages from the Shambhala. And someone phoned me, says, "What's a Shambhala?" I says, "Hell if I know. I guess we'll find out." And so things changed. There was snowstorms. He couldn't come to Lethbridge. So I went into Calgary to see him speak. And there was this funny little man at the front of the room with long white hair and a long white beard. And the moment he looked at someone, he could read right through them. And I says, whatever that man can do, I'm going to learn. And so, needless to say, I signed up for his whole workshop or his training. And yeah, what happened during that training, it was like we all learned to read a face in a day. It was great. But it
Read a
came to
face. A
read the
face.
face. Yeah,
Right.
you read the face in a day.
Yeah.
Overall, bone structure, prominent feature, hairline, forehead, eyebrows, eyes, nose, it's all chakras: base, sacral, solar plex, heart, a throat, third eye, and crown. So we look at, same as the hands, is base, sacral, solar plex, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. And same as the feet. It's all the 7 chakras. We're a holographic universe, just like we're digitalized. You know, you got digits, smaller or bigger, 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 bigger. We're in perfect uh, um, segments, and we're built for a reason, right? And to marvel at that reason. And so, anyways, what happened is we were reading each other. We're paired up, and we're reading each other, and it was like we came at the end. We have to write a summary of what we saw in that other person's body and give them all their corrections and alignments and emotionally what they're storing in the body. But we had like an hour to write up this final report and read it to each other in front of the class. So it was like I froze and I couldn't write a thing on that piece of paper. And I was just terrified, like I'm turning red. And it was my soul said, whatever you haven't dealt with, you're going to deal with it now. And so it came time, we were the last pair to read. I still had nothing on that piece of paper. And it was like Herman just looked at me and he knew, he could read right through someone. It was just like all of a sudden I just snapped. And it was like thousands of rubber bands cutting inside of me. And I uh, poured in sweat and I cried out 42 years of pent up anger, shame, guilt, resentment, anything negative that we could, that was holding me back, because it takes a lot of energy to hold back something you don't like about yourself. And what happened is that it went whirling back to a memory in grade 2 where I'd been wrongfully accused of cheating in a spelling test and I got the strap for it. And so that's humiliating. Ever since then, I hated English. I put on weight, was the class clown, and, for protection. And so that just completely came out of me. And guess what? I can spell just fine ever since. And I love public speaking. So there's a lot of, and then you start working with that energy and with your, reinventing yourself through your body structure. But you got to understand what's happened in the past in order to move into the future and your trajectory of the future. And that's why I wanted to call it ancestral healing, is because you can see everything is in the body. What you've stored, I can read right through a person exactly what's happened, but not the story. I can tell where the emotions are stored. I can tell if someone's been sexually abused just by looking at them. a key
Yeah,
point. I look at the lips and the key point. I don't say what I'm looking at. That's for people that are in the master's training. But you can read, there's the body responds. And once it feels understood, once you connect that subconscious with the conscious mind, the muscle can release because the muscles are messengers. So when that muscle releases, then the energy can flow up through the body. And so it's about studying ourselves because you only have this body, you have no body else. And to understand what your body is trying to communicate, whether it's dis-ease, what's in your DNA, what has your parents been through, what is running in the family tree, whether it's cancer or whatever it is, heart attacks. You want to look at the emotional part of it. So many people will go for the physical and mental, but they're not looking at the emotional and the spiritual side. What are you learning from it? And how can you move forward with it and move it through the body? So it's all about using the mechanics of the body, like we talk about. People have their feet in two different directions. That's a biofeedback of the left and right brain function are going and splitting apart. We
Yeah.
want to bring them together and get on track with life. And the body has to be trained, because who trained us to walk properly and stand properly and uncock your hips and keeping, it's all about allowing that energy to flow up through the body. But the body will hold on to a memory of the past, of a trauma. And unless you can connect that, the trauma will stay there. Or people, they go out and go to the chiropractor or whatever, to a therapist, and because they got a pain in their neck, but they still walk out into the world like this, and they have to go back week after week after week. So if it actually comes back, and you take responsibility with the awareness of how are you in the driver's seat? Like, who's driving this vehicle? The consciousness has to be in the vehicle at all times with everything we do.
Listen,
And
mate, it's really interesting this. So I'm going to keep it kind of light because the problem with this is it'll blow people's minds because I'm following you, but you're saying things and then you're saying this and I'm going back still thinking about that. So for the sake of the broadcast, do you do workshops in Costa Rica? Yes. How
trainings,
training?
trainings,
Okay, so you do a 2 week course. How often do
training.
you
Yeah.
do them? 2 week training.
I have 4 next year in 2026. I've got
Okay.
one in February. I think it's pretty full because Mark Atwood's coming with a gang of
Oh,
people. And then April,
Mark
A-
out.
April and June and September. I think Joe and Scott are bringing some people in June. I only take 8 to 10 people at a time because it's a huge amount of work and you're learning this work, but it's self-development first and foremost. But I'm also associated with the Psychosomatic Therapy College, that funny little man at the front of the room. I worked with him for 17 years until he passed, and now I'm working with his wife that's running the college. And so we have our tuition fees are set for teachers all over the world. We don't have that many, but I was the highest one because I was with Herman for 17 years and brought him into Canada and United States. And I would travel with him 4 months of the year, doing all the expos, but running all the trainings in different cities. So I've been through that course a million times.
Where was
Uh,
Herman from?
Australia.
Aussie.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
do
And
any of this
he was East
online?
Indian. I
He's,
have yeah, there's Herman right there.
oh yeah.
And
Just
this is all copyright material. That's the textbook someone learns. But it's learning about yourself first and foremost. And, your children, how you see your children and how you use your body language. It's not about someone else's body language. What are you projecting? What are you doing? And a lot of people come in, they can barely say their name. And by the end, they're huge. Their energy field is increased because they get over their insecurities. And most people are walking around like Swiss cheese because and then energy can come into them. But if
yeah.
you're a toroidal field with your biofield connecting inside of us, so that goes perforates out into our whole field between the physical body, the astral body, the mental body, the causal body, which is the emotional body, and then the spiritual body. So we're looking at healing at every level, but it all filters down into how you use this physical body. And so that's the training. I do an online training. It's called
Yes.
BAM, Body Awakening Method. So that does is an inventory of your life experiences. So it's about writing things out. So in that training, we have a timelines like starting at 0 all the way to your age now, and you keep going with it. What has happened in your life? And how have you dealt with it? So, when you got married, when this happened, then we also body map where all the injuries are on the body and what were you going through at that time. And so it's like each chapter we go chakra by chakra. What did you like about your mother? What didn't you like about your mother? What did you like about your father? What didn't you like? And you start to see those patterns. Whatever you see in them, it's living in you because you saw it. The other children might see it very differently. Like my oldest brother to my youngest, there's 7 of us. We all see our parents very differently. Depends what our parents were going through at that time. And so how many lovers have you had? To write them all down and cut the cords with them. What did you learn from each one of them? What did you learn? And I had one lady, she phoned me, Carole, I'm at 349. I says, holy shit, I hope you were charging. And
How the hell can you remember that? 300. Good.
Well, I says, put question marks. I don't know if she was joking or what. Just put a question mark if you can't remember, right? But that cuts the cords with them energetically and anyone that they've slept with.
Yeah.
You're connecting with all of that. It's like this huge spider web, right? And then it goes through what are all the jobs? What did you learn from the jobs? Like you're basically what you're doing is inventorying your whole life experiences. And now you can walk. It's not rattling around in the back of your mind. And you can actually write your own autobiography off of that. But what it does is stirs up the cellular memory. And once you stir up cellular memory, you can start to work with that. And then if they choose to, then they can go deeper and come here. But I can go so much deeper if they have inventoried their life already. When they get here, I can fine tune them. So I give them all the corrections, whether it's orgasmic bedroom yoga. I mean, really, we're training our body to become orgasmic because life should be orgasmic. And that doesn't mean have anything to do with sex or, it's bringing our sexual, sensual energy up through the spinal column, which is a creative energy. So it is working with, say, like the Ida and Pingala. So it's 2 rays, the blue ray and the red ray. And once those balance itself out, the Sushumna becomes gold. And that's the gold thereafter in us is our Christ consciousness. That's the ray of love wisdom. Now that's going into maybe psychosomatic numerology or I also teach the galactic signature blueprint using Mayan astrology. So I follow the Mayan calendar. That's what brought me to Costa Rica because once you sync with 28 days, 13 cycles, 13 moons, you're in the circadian rhythms. And so you meet the right people at the right time for the right reason. And so you can use all these levels of ourselves. I mean, you're a white world bridger. I mean, I could find your birth date on Facebook. Then I just look it up and see what your galactic signature is.
Well,
so I mean, that's a white solar world bridger, and the world bridger is the high priest. You have that high priest energy in your 3rd dimension.
Are you talking about me? Or are you talking about people?
Yeah. No, you.
I lost that skip in there. you brought it
there
up.
You are.
I was thinking, do I have my date of birth on Facebook? I normally don't post that, but anyway. So I'm
90 or 71.
Yeah.
June 8th.
That's true.
So you've got the blue eagle, which is the seer, the visionary. That's in your 1st dimension or in your base chakra. It's in your DNA. Your 2nd one is you walk that path many times, but you're here to remember is the red skywalker. And the red skywalker is the prophet. So you have a message for the world. Your third dimensional self, your solar plex, who you are now or who you're becoming in this lifetime, is the world bridger. And the world bridger is the high priest. You've got that, and it's a positive. It's not a negative, it's a positive. The high priest always worked with the high priestess in the energy. And your fourth dimension self, which I think you're achieving in this lifetime, it's in your heart, is to achieve it in this lifetime. And it's your biggest challenge, but your greatest gift is the yellow warrior. And the yellow warrior is the pathfinder. So you're here to find the path for others, example for others to find their path.
What?
And then your higher self, which is determined by your tone, your higher self is the white wind. So there's always, if wind comes up, there's always a message for you. And that's the high priestess. So you got the high priest and the high priestess to come into balance, like your masculine and feminine, and take that out into the world. And there is so much in the galactic signature. But, you know, we have the psychosomatic, the physical. I tell people to take all your charts, your astrology chart. It all has a piece of the puzzle. They're all breadcrumbs to go more and more into your path. Then you can take or numerology, which is your life path through Dan Millman. I use the life you were born to live. Herman worked with him on the chakras of the body. So, you know, you're a 325. They love travel. They love drama and, or, you know, action and excitement.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's sacral chakra, again, the 5. Then we can go into our next level. Left brain function would be human design, and right brain function is the galactic signature.
All of that is very accurate when it talks about me. That's exactly what I'm doing. That's really weird. I didn't know that before. I remember we stopped and you were showing me, and then of course the camera guy's talking to me, and I've got, okay, I'm watching the time. I got distracted. But Carole, speaking of time, I have another interview to do, but there's so much more that we need to discuss and share, because what you've just talked about now, I find that absolutely fascinating. And there's a message in there that I haven't figured out yet, but I think we need to do another interview, because the skills and the information that you're holding and have available to those that are seeking it, I think is absolutely valuable to advance people in their spiritual journey, and just to get people on the right track who they are. So let's do something next week. We'll do another show next week.
Okay, I'm only going to show you a quick picture of something, and then we'll go into it next week or whenever you have a chance. Right. Yeah. But I wanted to show you just I'm going to share my screen. I'm
going to have thousands of questions from my viewers about this, I'm sure.
Where did I put it? Here. So this is what we call a face split.
Yeah.
And
so you take both sides of the face and blend them. Yeah.
Well, what we take, the middle one is the original picture. We cut it in half and we put 2 right sides together and 2 left sides. And that's the day she comes into the training. And this is the same woman when she leaves. And
wow, look at that. She looks like she's had a miniature stroke, because one side of her face is all. But that's amazing. How many days is that? 2 weeks later?
Yeah. And this sumo wrestler is beating up this is her masculine side, or left brain function. This is her right brain function, left yin, left side of the face. So when she falls in love with herself, she's using the mechanics of the body. She's let go of a lot of the trauma and coming from the mind so hard on herself. This becomes this one. And I got hundreds of these pictures. The same. These are only ones I have permission to use. So
huge difference.
Huge. And I can talk all about this, you know, in another show. But I just wanted to show you one more thing. This is the Yoni garden. There's your Vesica Pisces. This is here, heaven and earth sanctuary. And that's I call it vagina garden, but the Yoni garden.
Yeah, the womb.
Yeah, and we made the Vesica Pisces here because this is the womb of Mother Earth, and between South America and North America. there's a lot on this area also. So there's our Mark Pyramid. I mean, this is a Epiceti, that's a Peruvian altar, but this is all on Heaven and Earth Sanctuary here. So we can get into a lot of other things at a later
I'd
date.
love that. Let's rebook something next week. It's been great catching up with you. And what struck me, Carole, is you're very quiet. I mean, I knew you were something special because I could feel the energy, but now talking to you on a one-on-one where we're not getting distracted,
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this. So let's talk again next week. And thank you so much for sharing all this information with myself and the audience.
yeah,
And from my side to your audience, I hope something that I talked about hits a nerve in there, because between what I'm doing and what the skills you have, I think there's definitely something you can help me improve and be better at what I have to do, which is where I'm going with this. There's
yeah.
something in there that you need to show me, make me understand, and educate me in a
Well,
nice, not in a beating way.
no, no, but we all have it. It is a skill. I have 11-year-olds in my training, and a lot of parents will send their children before they'll ever send them to college or university. Go find out who you are and what you're built for and what are your gifts, because you're also very claircognizant and clairaudio. So we can, we understand these things through through our structure. What are we built for? It's all
Love
there.
it.
It's all there. They didn't screw up on the other side. They
No,
sent to
doesn't
the
make
right body, to the right DNA, to the right atmosphere for your soul's growth. They did screw up on one thing. They forgot to send the manual, so they sent it to
You
us.
got it though, so we're all okay. Carole, thank you so much. It's been a
Okay.
fascinating. You
Mwah.
know how long we've been on for? About an hour and 20 minutes. That's gone so quick. We'll be back next week, guys, and thank you for
Okay.
joining us. And if you have any questions, we're going to put all Carole's links below in the video. So just look on the information below. You'll get all the info you need to follow up. And if you've got any questions, you can get in touch with Carole at all those links, and vice versa from me. Carole, big
Right.
kiss. That was
Mwah.
amazing. I'm buzzing now. Absolutely buzzing.
Okay.
Speak soon. Bye bye.
Yeah. I love my reaction.